For the next 5 years, Eritrea was at peace and was visited by tourists from all over the world. It was also considered one of the brightest hopes in Africa because of its fast economic growth and the government's commitment to the welfare of its own people.
I reached the place that I wanted to see in the whole continent of Africa, and this place was just extraordinary to me, that such a rich heritage and background in my field wasn't known about by the rest of the world, which seemed strange. Asmara for me is almost like an urban utopia. As a built environment, the scale is almost perfect.
The Eritrean diaspora, trying to return and take a political stake in the future of their country, were made to feel unwelcome by the government and the people. To these parties, people could be heard asking, "Where were you when we were fighting for 30 years?" A year later, in 1994, the country established two major mandatory programs: the summer program called Maitot and the National Service. The summer program involved the high school students in planting trees all over the country where the land had been devastated by 30 years of war. The National Service involved both males and females in the age group of 18 to 40 to serve in two areas: a rigorous 6-month military training program to arm its people, followed by a year of free labor as soldier citizens to rebuild their war-devastated country. In the beginning, many parents were afraid to let their children join the National Service. However, soon enough, through the media, the government continued to celebrate the successful stories of those who helped to build dams, roads, and bridges all over the country. The National Service soon won the hearts of many, and it became the path for all to serve their country after finishing high school.
بزوم معاتي سمعنا حقوس دستان إللتان بزوم دكنا زهودو بتعمي حقوس على لغاني أنا وتقول كلهم معاتي تقولي من عايشة ترند أخي نمبر مغاد كليري. In late 1997, the country decided to cease using the Ethiopian currency, the birr, and print its own, called the nakfa. Some say this currency change started a cold war between the two countries, over each wanting its own currency to be the stronger. In May 1998, a conflict erupted between Ethiopia and Eritrea over control of a disputed border region called Badme. Since both countries were inflamed by their sense of nationhood, neither would allow peace talks to have an effect. This conflict grew into a senseless 3-year war, and by 2001 had claimed more than 100,000 young people's lives, crippling Eritrean's economy and freezing the progress of the nation. The standard of living has hit bottom. The country has a major currency exchange problem. The value of Eritrean currency, nakfa, has also hit a rock bottom. Once, the US dollar was equal to 3 nakfa legally and 7 nakfa on the black market. This is now 15 nakfa at the local bank and 40 plus nakfa on the black market. Eritrea has never fully recovered from this war.
Eritrean society is under the complete control of the government. People cannot move from their houses or their workplaces without permission. They can't even decide in most cases what job they do because people are conscripted from the age of 18 to 50. There are spies in schools, in the military, teachers spying on students, students spying on teachers, young recruits spying on their commanders in the military, neighbours spying on their neighbours, people within your family informing on you.
Afraid of invasion by Ethiopia, Eritrea's paranoid president Isaias Afewerki keeps the country on a war footing. No one is released from duty in the national service, which has now become a standing citizens' army. Forced conscription keeps most citizens in the army from before they graduate high school till the age of 50. The president does not tolerate dissent among the citizens. Many dissenting party members, former freedom fighters, have simply disappeared and are rumored imprisoned or dead.
We couldn't sit down in that cell because the heat will make your skin blister off your body.
The whole day we were left inside and we were throwing up blood and screaming in agony.
People who once fought for the freedom of their country now live under a cloud of fear, mistrust, and an uncertain future.
But according to a report by Human Rights Watch, it's far different out to sea.
Here on the Red Sea coastline is where wealthy Eritreans come to play, but beyond the idyllic coastline lie the Dahlak Islands. This is where Eritrea's biggest prison is located, which is where some of the worst human rights abuses are taking place.
There is a massive clandestine network of prisons across Eritrea. One of the problems for human rights organisations is actually understanding where all those sites are and how many people are being held. In all of those places we're hearing accounts of torture, systematic extreme torture.
The guy was tied in the helicopter, ankles and wrists tied together behind his back with his stomach on the ground. The blood was pouring from his nose and mouth.
Sometimes, if they're very angry, after beating you, they take you out and make you roll on the ground for maybe 30 to 45 minutes.
Eritrean society has been in ruins. Many religions have been banned by government decree, and people are driven to practice their religion in secret. Apart from the four major religions, Roman Catholic, Coptic Orthodox, Seventh-day Adventist and Islam, others have been driven underground.
The Voice of the Martyrs presents The Overcomers.
Officials in the East African nation of Eritrea arrested 30 Christians for praying at a private house in Asmara, the nation's capital. Some of the Christians were released after being detained for their faith. Security officials arrested the Christians and took them to the police station. The detained believers are members of the Philadelphia Church, an evangelical church outlawed in Eritrea. Evangelical churches have been forced to go underground in the country since 2002, when officials required all religious groups to register. Many Eritrean Christians have fled the country to neighboring nations as refugees. More than 3,000 Eritreans have been detained for their faith in Christ. Most are kept in underground dungeons, metal shipping containers, and military barracks. Several Christians have died while imprisoned due to torture and lack of medical attention.
Many religious leaders and their followers have been imprisoned and physically abused.
ብድሕሪኡ ኣብ ዓዲ ኣቤቶ ካምፕ ነይረ እቲ ሰዓበ ግን ኣብ ኮንቴነር ጥራይ ኣሕሊፈ
Many Eritreans have lost faith in their own country and look for better lives outside their country.
The situation in Eritrea is comparable to the situation in North Korea. There is no rule of law. We don't have a functioning parliament, even the cabinet follows what the president of Eritrea, Isaias Afwerki, says and tells them. There is no such an open discussion. The parliament, even the president, is not accountable to the public.
We, as Amnesty International, invited Helen Berhane because she's an example of what is happening at this moment with the other 3,000 prisoners of conscience. Amnesty International calls upon the government of Eritrea to release immediately and unconditionally all the prisoners of conscience, to disclose the places where they are being held, and to let them have contact with their families.
Everybody shout with me, release them now! Release them now!
To leave, they must first show proof of discharge from the national service. Since the country is on a state of alert, no one is released from the military unless they are wounded veterans, those who are unfit for military service, or pregnant women. Since then, the country has experienced a rate of unwed pregnancies like it has never seen before. Others wishing to flee take their chances at the border, where there are shoot-to-kill orders, risking their lives and the lives of their families. It is reported that thousands are fleeing to neighboring countries of Ethiopia and Sudan, and even across the Red Sea to Yemen. This has left Asmara, the capital, simply empty. The people left are only the innocent young children and the older generations. This is Shemelba, one of the refugee camps located in the northern region of Ethiopia. Here, thousands of Eritreans are sheltered as thousands more come on a regular basis.
كلكم تصوروا اللي تنوروا كلكم ببي لهم متسكوا سدرامي زي ما كانوا هنا سكدك 10 سنه استهش عفوا نسكت
Shemelba is similar to other refugee camps in Ethiopia and Sudan. For many religious groups, these are safe havens for freedom of worship. At least, they do not have to fear opening their Bibles in a small gathering or singing loudly. Many of these refugees were beaten and imprisoned in their own country, where some witnessed the death of their fellow Christians.
Another evangelical Christian has died in Eritrea. 28-year-old Sanait Ukbazgi Hapta passed away in the Sawa Military Training Center after suffering severe abuse and being denied medical treatment for malaria and severe anemia.
The future is uncertain for many of them. Some are hoping that their family members will sponsor them to go to Europe or North America. Some are hoping to be granted some kind of asylum for themselves.